Here? I'll tell you, that's great because when I travel all over the state of Nevada, I tell everybody the tip of the spear when it comes to electing Trump and Republicans in the state of Nevada are women and Republican women groups. The tip of the spear. So I want to thank you all for coming out today and welcoming Lara Trump to the greatest city in the world, Las Vegas, and to the greatest state in the country, Nevada. So today's Tuesday. What do we got? 1 week left for the election. And guess who's showing up to vote? Republicans. People supporting Trump. We are killing it. We are killing it. And it's all because of you. You're the heart and soul of the Republican Party here in Nevada. And I want to thank you for doing that. But we need to keep the metal to the floor for another week. Vote early. If you haven't voted, vote today or tomorrow. Make sure you tell your friends. This is very, very important. We cannot let up at this point. And what's interesting about the election today, from what I'm seeing, is President Trump is talking about lowering inflation. What's Kamala Harris doing? Calling us names. President Trump is talking about securing the border and deporting millions of people here illegally that are criminals. What's Kamala Harris doing? Calling us names. Trump is filling up the Thomas and Mack Center. Trump is filling up Madison Square Garden. Yeah. And Kamala Harris is going on The View with 3 people that watch that show. And going on podcasts that nobody has ever heard of. So that's the campaign today. We and President Trump are going to take this country back. We're going to win Nevada, and Kamala Harris and Biden and the rest of those scoundrels are going away because we're taking over. So thank you very much for coming out today. God bless all of you, and we are going to make Nevada and America great again.
Just one kind of coffee at the cafe. A couple kinds of beer at Amico. Where hard work pays and Jesus saves. Weekends come and hell gets raised. Don't eat much, we can't hunt, fish, or grow. And we like a life that way. Sweet and slow and simple. Ain't for much we pray. 'Cause all we need's a little. So just remember when you're driving through nowhere. To us, that's the middle of somewhere. May look like some empty off the interstate. Place between where you've been and where you go. Folks around here, we call it home. From the cradle to the stone. We don't mind, it's all we've ever known. And we like a life that way. Sweet and slow and simple. Ain't for much we pray. 'Cause all we need's a little. So just remember when you're driving through nowhere. To us, that's the middle of somewhere. I know it's just another drop in the ocean of my dots, but it means more than the world to us. 'Cause we like a life that way. Sweet and slow and simple. Ain't for much we pray. 'Cause all we need's a little. So just remember when you're driving through nowhere. So just
And now for the main event, please welcome to the stage Savannah Chrisley, Aaron Elmore, Elizabeth Pipko, and Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump.
Whoa, what's up, Nevada? Is anybody here ready to turn Nevada red and send Donald Trump back to the White House? Okay. Well, as you guys heard, we're going to get comfy and have a little convo, but I just want to reintroduce some of my friends to me. Elizabeth Pipko, the spokeswoman for the RNC. My friend Aaron Elmore, who was also a contestant, as you will hear, on a show you might have heard of called The Apprentice once upon a time. And Savannah Chrisley, who I don't even think you need any intro, Savannah. But thank you guys for being here. If you don't want to get comfy, we'll take our seats and we'll have a little conversation, if that's okay. Because, guys, right now we are 1 week away from sending Donald Trump back to the White House. And here's how I know the Democrats are in a full-blown panic. Take a look at the early in-person voting right here in Nevada. I know you guys know these numbers. Historic numbers in Nevada, in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Pennsylvania. They know that they have a big problem on their hands. You know why? Because the American people are not going to relive the past 4 years we just had. They want Donald Trump to take control of this country. Yeah. So I know that we all understand the gravity of this election. So let me ask you, who in here has early voted? Okay. And who still has to go vote? All right, see, I like this. I like this. Now, let me tell you, all the ones who first raised your hand, make sure you're getting people out to go vote from now until Election Day. Now, you guys can early vote until November 1st here in Nevada, and then we got to turn them all out on November 5th, and I believe that is what we're going to do. Because, guys, this isn't just about Republican versus Democrat or left versus right. We all know that. This is about good versus evil. This is about common sense versus insanity. This is about losing our country or saving our country. And I want good to triumph. I want common sense. And I want to save the United States of America 7 days from now. And I loved our intro. I was introduced as Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, which I am. But I am also the co-chair of the Republican National Committee. And I'll tell you guys, this is a role that I'm so honored to have. I hope you guys think that we've done a pretty good job recently at the RNC. We've certainly been trying. But this is not a job I ever anticipated. Had you asked me about a year ago, would I ever be the co-chair of the RNC, I probably would have said, I don't know, don't see that on the bingo card for me. But here I am, because I got a call in January of this year from a very persuasive individual. His name is Donald Trump. And he called me and he said, honey, I think you should run for this position. We need you. It's pretty good, right? He likes it too. And I said, what? I can't do that. I have so many other things going on. I have 2 young kids. My kids were 4 and 6 at the time. I said, I can't do this job. He's like, all right, honey, no pressure, but it's got to be you. And so that night, I was tucking my kids in bed and honestly thinking about all the time I was going to have to spend away from them if this is a job that I tried to pursue. And I looked at them and I said, you know what? I think I have to do this job, and I have to do it for them. Because you guys know it, right? This isn't about us in this room right now. It's about our children, our grandchildren, and future generations of this country. Because they deserve to grow up in the same great country that we got to grow up in. So I called him back and I said, all right, I will run for that position. And I was so honored that I was chosen as co-chair of the RNC. And let me just tell you, yeah, amazing. I'm truly honored. Some of the things that we've worked on at the RNC since I became co-chair. I feel like the RNC did a lot of things, maybe a few too many once upon a time. When you do too many things, you pretty much do nothing well. So we said we're going to just pare it back, and we need to focus on 2 things to win an election. Get out the vote and protect the ballot. Yeah. And we said, listen, we got the best person in the history of politics to get out the vote. His name is Donald Trump, because he inspires everybody, right? So how are we going to protect the ballot? And we put together the most aggressive election integrity operation in the history of politics. And we put a pretty lofty goal out for ourselves. We said, all right, we need to make sure we recruit people all across this country to be poll watchers, poll workers, and legal experts. We'll put a lofty goal out for ourselves, and we'll say we'll try to recruit 100,000 people to do that. I don't know if we'll hit that goal. Guys, we have trained 230,000 people to do these jobs. That's 5,000 people poll watching and as poll workers in every battleground state. That's 500 legal experts on the ground all over the country. And the numbers are continuing to climb. People are still coming and saying, we want to be part of this team. Because we need, in the United States of America, free, fair, and transparent elections. And every American should feel like your vote matters and your vote counts, even if you're not voting for Donald Trump, although I think everybody ought to be voting for Donald Trump, if you want my honest opinion. But it is imperative to who we are as a country to have electoral integrity, and that's what we're trying to pursue. Now, we reached across the aisle to our friends over at the DNC, and we said, if you guys would like to join us in our pursuit of election integrity, please come join us. Now, we haven't heard back, but we have 7 days. So I will let you know if we hear back from any of them. But what we have put in place has been working. We have already identified issues in certain states, like Pennsylvania. You might have heard a couple of issues over in Pennsylvania. They had 2,500 people who, or 2,500, not people, 2,500 voter registrations that were fraudulent, and we caught it, and we rectified it, and our message is clear. We'll prosecute you to the full extent of the law if you're going to do things like that. And so with that in mind, I think that I feel very good knowing that if only legal votes are counted, and and that's all we're counting in this election. And when every legal vote is counted in this country and in this election, Donald Trump will be our 47th president of the United States. But for me, look, this is important because I want to save this country, and I, again, want this country to be great for a long time, for the future. But I also have seen what this man has faced as his daughter-in-law. And I think we can all agree Donald Trump did not need this job. He was very famous before he ever decided to run for politics. Everybody loved Donald Trump. I used to work at a television show called Inside Edition, and I'll tell you, about every 2 weeks or so, they'd say, we need somebody to comment on something. Go over to Trump Tower. Let's get a soundbite from Donald Trump. Everybody wanted to hear what he had to say about things. Everybody loved Donald Trump. He was invited to all the big events all across the country until he came down the golden escalator in Trump Tower and decided to run as a Republican for president of the United States. And then it all changed for him. But here's what's interesting about Donald Trump. He knew if he did the job necessary, that was what was going to happen. He sat us all down as a family about a week before he came down that escalator. And he said, listen, this is real. I'm going to do this. But I need everybody to understand, if I do this the right way, they're going to come after me. And it's not just me. It's all of us. And you guys need to really appreciate what that means. And I need to know that you guys are okay with that. And we all were like, well, yeah, like how bad could it get? He knew that if he came down that escalator and told the truth and said the things that were concerning to the American people and exposed the swamp in Washington, D.C., and exposed the mainstream media, that they were going to come after him. And he did it anyway. This is the only man to donate his salary every quarter. He was president of the United States. The only president to come out of that White House with less money than he went into the White House with. He's lost zeros off the back of his net worth, and he's always continued fighting. But it started on June 15th of 2015. And the amazing thing is, obviously, we all remember that campaign and that election, right? Anybody remember November 8th, 2016? Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. If you want to get hyped up over the next 7 days, do yourself a favor. Go back and look up some of those YouTube videos of the folks in the mainstream media having to report state after state for Donald Trump winning in 2016. It is a beautiful thing to see, especially Rachel Maddow, who says, this is not a nightmare. Bless her heart. Yeah, the nightmare's coming, Rachel. It's coming in 7 days. It's coming back. Woo! Yeah. But I want y'all to get that energy, because I got to tell you something. Things are looking really good right here in Nevada. And if we win Nevada, that's it. They know. They know. But that election was crazy, and we got through it, and Donald Trump was declared the winner. And we all thought, okay, well, now he's won. Now everybody will get behind the president. And now they'll be fair, and they will want the president to be successful. I know. So the president to be successful, because that means America's successful. And they fought against him every single day he was in the White House, right? In fact, I think it was like 2 hours after they announced he was president-elect, the Washington Post came out with an article, now is when the impeachment of Donald Trump starts. Yeah, they never wanted to give this man a chance. And yet, look at all the things he got accomplished for this country while he was in the White House, right? The lowest unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, and women. We had trade deals with Canada, with Mexico, with China. We had historic peace agreements, the Abraham Accords in the Middle East, instead of a war right now in the Middle East. First time in 82 years a president had no new wars under his leadership when Donald Trump was in the White House. People had been promising it time after time when they ran for president, but it took Donald J. Trump to finally recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, move our American embassy there, and recognize the Golan Heights for Israel. How about when he walked across the DMZ to shake hands with Kim Jong-un? You know, when he left office, when he first got into office and Obama was leaving office, Obama said, this is going to be your hardest thing you're going to have to deal with, is North Korea. It's going to be your toughest challenge. It's going to be something that's going to haunt you every day, and it's going to be a big problem. So Donald Trump said, all right, I'm going to deal with Kim Jong-un. I'm going to deal with North Korea. And do you remember before that visit over there, what happened? When Kim Jong-un tried to posture, Donald Trump said, if you dare, you will be met with fire and fury, the likes of which the world has never seen. That is called peace through strength, ladies and gentlemen. And yet, look at what the two in office right now are doing. Don't. I don't think that's been very successful for them, has it? Donald Trump walked across the DMZ. He shook hands with Kim Jong-un. They talked about denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula, and that was historic. How about the over 500 miles of border wall that Donald Trump built, and we had the most secure border in the history of America when he was in the White House? How about the fact that the low of gas was $1.87 a gallon when Donald Trump was in the White House? Because we were energy independent. We were almost energy dominant, a net energy exporter. That's what we want to get back to. Those are the things that he accomplished while he was in the White House that people said would never happen for a president if you spent 2 terms in office. There were so many things, but you don't even have to talk about what they were. All you have to do is remember how your life felt. And if anybody in here has any friends who are like, I'm kind of still on the fence, I'm not sure, here's what I want you to tell them. 2 things. First of all, go in that voting booth, close your eyes, take the names Donald Trump and Kamala Harris out of it, and talk about how your life felt. If you felt better 4 years ago in your life, then you know you better be voting for Donald J. Trump. And everybody knows that. But here's another way you can tell them, and this one might be actually a little bit better. I'm going to take a line from our friends Diamond and Silk. If you get in there and you're not sure how to do it, just make sure you vote red. R-E-D. Remove every Democrat. That's a very good way to go as well. It's also effective. But I will tell you guys something. When we took the final flight out of Washington, D.C., January of 2021, and we flew down to Palm Beach with my father-in-law, he knew then that he was not done with this country. He did. We all went to dinner. It's kind of crazy. Here's an inside baseball story. Ready? I don't tell this to everybody. We flew down on Air Force One for the last time, and it was a tough moment. It was a sad time. It'd been a tough couple of months for the country, certainly. And as we're getting off the plane, he said that he wanted us to all have dinner together that night as a family. So we're all like, okay, let's go to dinner. But like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, what do we do? How do we act here? So we all went to dinner, and we were like, how is this going to be? And he comes to dinner, and he sits down, and he goes, well, I'm going to have to do it again. I was like, oh, my God, this guy has just been through so much. But he knew that the job he wanted to do for this country had not yet been finished. He knew it in January of 2021. And yet, look how far this country has fallen. Look how bad things have gotten for people. And so that's why when they got an inkling of Donald Trump deciding to run for president again, they said, oh, we can't afford this. Because he exposed a lot his first term, right? He exposed the deep state, the swamp, the mainstream media, exposed all those phonies in D.C., and they were like, you know what? We barely survived the first term of Donald Trump. We certainly couldn't do it a second time. So they said, all right, we can't have him back. Before he even announces, let's make sure we do a raid on Mar-a-Lago. Do the raid. He'll say, I can't deal with this. I'm not going to run for president again. And he said, oh, yeah? Watch me. Right? And he announced he's running for president. And they said, oh, he did it. Now what do we do? Somebody, you know what? We'll get somebody to indict Donald Trump. And they indicted him. And his poll numbers went up. And they were like, wait, what? So this has never happened before. What do we do? Indict him again. And his poll numbers went up again.
Fundraising through the roof.
Fundraising through the roof from it. And they said, this isn't working. We've got to do something better than this. Call Fannie Willis down in Fulton County, Georgia. Get her to indict him and get her to take a mugshot of him while she's at it. And it is the greatest mugshot in the history of the world. Thanks, Fannie. They indicted him again. His poll numbers went up again. Historic fundraising through the roof. And then we all know what happened on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I got to tell you guys, if you didn't believe that God exists and he performs miracles, you saw it with your own eyes on that day. God spared Donald Trump's life for a reason. And he will be the first person to tell you that. 2 assassination attempts aren't enough to stop this man because he knows, and I think we all know, Donald Trump was made for such a time as this. We need him to save this country. We need him to save and stabilize this world. And I believe that God is a huge part of this election. We know it. And when God's on your side, you know, and he's on our side, we know that. But even if he's on our side, we're leaving nothing to chance. So y'all get them all out to vote here in Nevada, if you don't mind. But I have to say, it truly has been such an incredible ride to have a front row seat to history. You know, I wish people got to see this man the way I do. He is the greatest grandfather. My kids absolutely adore him. It's kind of funny. I often wonder, they're now 5 and 7. They see me on TV all the time. They see my husband on TV all the time. They see grandpa on TV all the time. And they're kind of understanding what's going on. But I can't wait till they actually know how incredible this man has been. Because let me tell you, he loves to take these kids out on a golf cart with him. Don't give these kids to him for very long because he will give them so much candy. They love to go to his office. He's got a big candy bowl, and he's like, here, honey, have some more. And I'm like, no more. But when they realize how incredible their grandfather truly is one day, what he sacrificed for this country, what he was willing to put on the line, literally his life for the United States of America, I know how proud that they will truly be of him. And when he's officially our 47th president of the United States, I know that that'll make them very proud as well. So I want to make sure that we have some time to hear from these beautiful ladies. Let me tell you, what do y'all think of our pink jackets up here? The pink ladies? Yeah. Now, we've been all over this country. We came from Arizona yesterday. They feel good in Arizona. They're tearing it up down in Arizona, so don't let them outshine you here in Nevada. You know, it's a competition over here, okay? We're trying to sweep it. But we've been all over this country, and it's been so incredible to do it. Because, guys, we're 7 days away from not just history in this country, but we're never going to see another candidate like Donald Trump. There is only one of him. The movement that has been created, the Make America Great Again movement, we're never going to have that in our lifetime. So really appreciate it. Really take it in. Really be part of this. And I've been so honored to be able to travel this country with incredible ladies. And I would love for them to tell you a little bit about why they're voting for Donald Trump and why they're out here as well, away from their families, away from their jobs, and really out here fighting for the future of America. So, Erin Elmore, would you like to take us away, ma'am?
Sure. Well, first of all, look at this crowd. I mean, we have Mrs. Nevada.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Nevada, thank you.
We have a Trump bear.
A Trumpy bear.
I was
This is a Kamala word
what
salad.
This is.
That's fantastic.
Oh my goodness, it's a Kamala.
We should send her that outfit. She can wear it out on the campaign
A lot
trail.
of sparkly MAGA hats. We're doing the most out here, and I know you guys are all so busy, and to take time out of your day to be with us is an honor. And I will make a confession out of the gate, okay? Don't boo me. I was once a Democrat.
These are the best kind when you get them to convert, right?
You know, the long story made extra short was I was on a show, The Apprentice, in 2006. I'm aging myself. And
she was 5 years old.
I was 5. They had a special series, Apprentice Babies. You're fired. So anyway, I got to know the man, the person, the human Donald Trump. And I said, he called me into his office in Trump Tower. And I was sweating, I was shaking, I was thinking about crying. And he said, you were great in the boardroom. What do you want to do now? And I said, I just want to go into journalism. And he said, I'm not going to give you the job, but call these 5 people. I'm going to write you a letter of recommendation. And I called those people, and lo and behold, by the grace of God, I got a journalism job. And I moved myself to Florida, Jacksonville. I couldn't even have found Jacksonville on a map. And I was a general assignment reporter on the overnight shift, working endless hours. And he would call and check in on me and said, honey, how you doing? And I was like, I'm trying to make you proud. And, you know, I had a long journalism career, but a lot of things happened in that time. I got married, and he called me and said, congratulations on your wedding. I had a son. He said, congratulations on your son. And we kept in touch over the years, and I knew who this person was, respectful to a young woman that didn't know what she was doing, kind, generous, warm-hearted. And in 2016, post-Golden Elevator, I called his then personal assistant, and I said, Rona, I am quitting my job to do what I can to get this man elected. And that's when I became a Republican. I didn't really know much about, I had an undergrad degree, like with a minor in political science, but, you know, that was 100 years ago when I was also a baby. And I think they call it baptismal by fire, right? I think they threw me on CNN first. And I held my own. And one thing led to another, and I'm sitting up here with you guys, but I think it's so important to know when they talk about this man, how he treats women. He employs more women than probably any corporation, when he was with the Trump, than any corporation in America.
You know what Donald Trump cares about? Donald Trump doesn't look at a person based on their gender, their race, their religion. He looks at them based on success and failure. And if you are a person who is successful and will work hard for him, he will always hire you for the job. Shouldn't we have the best person for the job in America?
So I heard, you're fired, and then you're hired, and here we are today. And on that note, I got to laugh, and I'm nervous, and I'm chuckling, so I'm going to pass it on to Savannah Chrisley.
Hi, everyone. Well, first off, never in a million years did I think this would be my life. Let's face it, I grew up on TV, reality television, 10 years. It was a wild ride, and I was in a very liberal job. I never could voice how I felt, where I stood, and unfortunately, I kind of sold my soul to the devil at that point because that was how I made my money. And for 10 years of my life, both my parents were under federal investigation, and when the show came about is when that came about. And 2 years ago in January, both my parents went to federal prison for a combined 19 years. And all of this is for an alleged white-collar crime, but in Fulton County, Georgia, where they referred to us as the Trumps of the South, this was at a trial, and little did they know, they meant it as an insult, but clearly I wore it as a badge of honor. And that really, when you see your name versus the United States of America, it causes you to think twice. And you're like, holy cow, is this the country I was taught to live, breathe, and die? And it made me realize that if it can happen to us, if it can happen to President Trump, it can happen to any one of you. And that's why this election is so important, because now I'm raising two kids, an 11-year-old and my brother just turned 18. And they're going through big life moments without their parents there. And President Trump, I got to go to Mar-a-Lago. And I love to tell this story to people because it's the moments people don't see. And there was a wounded veteran right in front of me, and he starts freaking out, sobbing hysterically. Secret Service steps in, obviously doing their job to make sure everyone is safe and protected. And President Trump stopped them and goes, hold on, this guy's stronger than any of us here. He's good. And it's moments like that, and then moments of him taking 10 minutes out of his time to learn my story, hear more about it, having empathy. And I like to say he loves people and loves people well and doesn't get enough credit for that. And especially when it comes to women. That's been the biggest thing, pardon my language, but it's pissed me off. Because first off, under the Biden-Harris administration, they wanted to get rid of controversial terms, or problematic is the word they use, problematic terms, such as mother. And instead, they want to use childbearing person.
Birthing person.
Birthing person, yes. And I'm sorry, but as a woman, I'm proud to say that I'm a woman. I don't want to get rid of that term.
You mean you're not a scientist?
No.
You can't, okay, sorry.
So I think with that, it's just go out and talk to the people who believe differently than you. Share the stories that other people may not know about the president, and let them know how important it is, not just for you, but your children and your daughters.
Amen to that. All right. Liz, take her away.
Can anyone hear me? Yep. Better? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try again. Much like Aaron, my journey with President Trump and this family started in 2016. In 2015, and I've never told this story, by the way, so please forgive me. Don't bully me if I cry up here right now. In 2015, I was going through a really difficult time. Didn't know what my future held, didn't know what I wanted to do. Just a lost 19-year-old girl trying to get through college without failing every class and wondering where she should be. And it was probably February 2015, my little brother, my best friend and the smartest person in the world, said to me two things. Number one, there's a rumor out there that Donald Trump is about to announce that he's going to run for president. A, if he does, he's going to be the next president of the United States. And B, if you want to get a little bit of inspiration, if you want to get yourself on the right track, if you want to know what it means to believe in yourself and fight for something, start watching Donald Trump's videos. So that's what I did. Donald Trump announced for president a few months later. I began volunteering for him a few months after that. Then I began working on his campaign with my little brother by my side. On that campaign, I met my husband, by the way, which was amazing. I also met one of the greatest families that I'm still so honored and can't believe that I know and I'm sitting next to right now. I actually remember at one point on the campaign, Lara walked by my desk, and I texted my mom and I said, "You're not going to believe who I just saw." I was about 7 feet from Lara Trump, who I'm now sitting on the stage with 8 years later. But the journey that I've been on, which has been the honor of an absolute lifetime, I don't even know if I can put into words, but last week, I think it was, I went to vote, to early vote, as our fearless leader reminds us to do, early vote on day one of early voting in Florida. And I went into the booth and I was all excited to vote and I thought I was going to be okay. And then I clicked Donald Trump's name and I started crying. And I realized this was the last time I'm going to vote for Donald Trump in my lifetime. And I stood there and I thought of everything I had learned over the last 8 years. And we can go on and on for hours about what Donald Trump has taught us. But I think most important, I thought back to Liz of 2015, right, who didn't believe in herself and didn't know what she wanted to do. I thought back to those videos Lara mentioned of everyone saying Donald Trump was never going to be president. And I realized in that moment that in a couple of years, when he's out of the White House, we might not get a Donald Trump rally or a press conference every single day. So I wanted to remember something from him that I could remind others of and think about for the rest of my life. And I realized the most important thing that Donald Trump has taught me, all of us in this room, all of us in the country, even around the world, is that very often when you fight for something, very often when you want to stand up for what you believe in, you will look around and realize you are standing alone. But that doesn't mean you won't come out on top. I don't even know what else there is to say apart from I hope everyone in here remembers the candidate that was Donald Trump, the movement we've seen over the last 8 years that nobody will ever replicate in our lifetimes. This is a once-in-a-lifetime candidate, a once-in-a-lifetime man who will change this country for our children and grandchildren for many generations, who will look back to the man that apparently shouldn't have been president and ended up being the greatest president of our lifetimes.
Twice. I'll trade with you. Well, guys, listen, you know what you got to do. And we are 7 days away from sending a message to the mainstream media, the establishment, the Democrats, Hollywood, the music industry, that it's not up to them. It is up to we, the people, to decide our leaders and our president. And we're choosing Donald J. Trump. We're 7 days away. want you guys exhausted. I don't want anybody in here sleeping for the next 7 days. But what do you guys say? We win this thing so big league that we shut it down early, and we all get a good night's sleep. We're going to bed at 10 p.m. and we're going to this movement. Thank you for fighting alongside of us. Liz, I love what you said, that you look around a room and you're standing alone if you're fighting sometimes like that. But Donald Trump is no longer fighting alone. What he's created in this country has awakened so many people. And once you're awake, once you're awake, you're not going back to sleep. You guys, this isn't about politics. You are part of our family. We love you. We are so grateful for you. Thank you for fighting for Donald Trump. Thank you for fighting for this country. We are 7 days away from doing it. Nobody sleep, and we're going to bed early on November 10th. Thank you guys for voting. We love you. God bless you guys. Thank you for having us. Thank you. Go get them out there. Get to the polls. Thank you guys.
Go ahead. Like right there? Okay. Can you guys situate further down? Can you situate further down? Hold on 1 second. Can you guys situate further down so you have this? Yeah. Right here. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I have three quick questions. Thank you. Sorry, excuse us.
Lara, you did amazing at Madison Square Garden.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Where do we get our big
Whenever you're ready,
Yeah, go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
Laura, Nevada has a big Latino population. We were just talking Madison Square Garden. Any message to Latino voters on what happened there?
Well, I think it's a shame that the actual moment is being overshadowed by a comedian. Obviously, he does not represent Donald Trump, doesn't represent the campaign. But I'll tell you, Donald Trump wants to fight for Latino voters, for every single American. He wants to make sure that you have more money in your pocket, a secure southern border, peace around the world instead of wars around the world. He did it once. Just remember how much better your life was with him in office, and he wants to do it again.
Thank you. I think you have any questions for her? I think they said three.
What is your message to voters here in Nevada?
Listen, we want to turn Nevada red. If we win Nevada, it is a huge win for Donald Trump, and I think it means a certain victory on election night. And so I would just encourage everybody, take Donald Trump's name out of it, take Kamala Harris's name out of it. Think about your life. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And no one can say they are, because life has gotten exponentially harder. Donald Trump wants to make sure that you have better opportunities, a better life, more money in your pocket, safer communities, and he wants to do it again for America.
Message on election security. I know you touched a little bit about anything else you'd like to add.
Listen, we want every American, no matter if you're voting Republican, Democrat, or third-party candidate, to know that in America, your vote matters and your vote counts. And we want only legal votes counted in this election. And so I would just say it's imperative that we trust our electoral process. We at the RNC have worked very hard. We're hoping to reestablish maybe some of that trust that was lost in 2020. And so we're just hopeful that that everybody is out there voting, making sure you get your vote in, get it banked, go vote early if you can. And we want to see a big win on November 5th.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys. Thanks for coming. Thank you.